Welcome. So in this video, we're going to be talking about best buys. Now, what are best buys? So imagine that you are doing the shopping and you want to find the cheapest dog food. Well, how are you going to find the cheapest dog food? You're going to have to use the techniques that we're going to go through in this lesson. So this is a very practical lesson. We're going to be learning about the unit rate, which is the ratio of two measurements in which the second term, the denominator, is 1. So that means we're going to be building upon our knowledge of ratios in this lesson. And we're going to learn about the unit price or the unit cost, which tells you the cost per liter, per kilogram, per pound, etc. of what you want to buy. So the unit price or the unit cost is per 1 liter, per 1 kilo, per 1 pound, per 1 gram, per 1 whatever. That's the best way sometimes to compare different costs of things. So now we come to this question here, which says, by calculating the unit price, determine the best buy for the following brands of dog food. So I have a 5 kilo bag of King for $35 and a 12 kilo bag of Thrive for $60. And we want to figure out which of these is the cheaper price. Now, at the moment, it's hard to do that because this is 5 kilos and this is 12 kilos. So it's hard to determine, which one is cheaper. But if we find the unit price, that is the unit per kilogram, so per 1 kilogram, that's really going to help us compare. So how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to say, all right, this is $35 for 5 kilos. So I'm going to set up a ratio for myself. I'm going to go 35 for 5 kilos. And now I want to figure out how much is this for 1 kilogram. So that means I'm going to be simplifying this ratio. We've done this before. That means to go from 5 to 1, by dividing, I have to divide by 5. And that means I come over to this side and I divide this side by 5. So now I do that. I come on this side and I go, what is 35 divided by 5? It's going to be $7. So that means it's $7 a kilo. We come over here and we do the same thing. I have $60 for 12 kilos. So I go $60 for 12 kilograms. And then I divide this by 12. I divide this by 12. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want this side to be 1 kilogram. And 12 divided by 12 is 1. So that's what we're after. We want this just to be 1. So that's why I divided both sides by 12 there. 60 divided by 12 is going to be $5. So that means this one is $5 a kilo. So now we have our two costs. We have $7 a kilo. We have $5 a kilo. Now we can compare properly because they're both 1 kilogram. It's very easy just to compare the amount it costs for 1 kilogram. And obviously $5 for 1 kilo is a best buy. So that means this is our best buy. Let's keep on moving now. Hopefully that first example made some sense. And this one's going to be much the same as what we did above. So if you like to pause the video and give it a go yourself, you may, or you can just follow along with me here. So what are we going to do? It says, by calculating the unit price, determine the best buy for the following: 3 batteries for $4.80. Okay. And then over here, 12 batteries for $14.76. So which of these is the better price for a battery? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say I have $4.80 for 3 batteries. Remember, I want to figure this out for 1 battery. So I have to ask myself, how do I go from 3 to 1? And obviously you just divide by 3. Then I divide this side by 3 as well. And now this is where some people might run into a bit of an issue. What is 480 divided by 3? Well, we might have to set up some division there. 480. And let's just kind of go through slowly how you do this again. It's an important process and one that you should know. How many times does 3 go into 4? It goes in 1 time with 1 remainder. How many times does 3 go into 18? 3 goes into 18 6 times. And then, do you see I have a decimal point right there? That just goes directly above where it was, directly above it. So it's $1.60. So that's a bit of division there. You should know that. And we'll go through some more examples. So if you're not that strong with it, hopefully by the end of this lesson, you're more comfortable with it. So that means it's $1.60 for 1 battery. So for one battery, it's $1.60. Let's now do the same to the other side here to figure out if this one's a better price. This is $14.76 for 12 batteries. Remember, we want this side to be one battery. So you can probably guess what we're going to do. We're going to divide by 12. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to divide by 12. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to divide by 12. Again, we're in the position where we need to know what is 12, 1476. How many times does, and let me grab another color here because this is important. You should be good at this. How many times does 12 go into 14? It goes in one time with two remainders. Now, how many times does 12 go into 27? Well, it goes in twice because two 12s are 24, and that means I have 3 remaining. Now, let's just stop there for a second. Let's say you found that step really tricky. So, how did I know that 12 went into 27 2 times? Well, think about it. I've got 12, 24, 36. These are my multiples of 12, so going 12 each time. 27 would live here, right? That's where 27 would live. So obviously, it can go in twice without going over. But there is a gap of 3 between 24 and 27. So that's why I put a 2 up here, because it goes in 2 times, but then there are 3 left over. And then how many times does 12 go into 36? Well, you can see here, that's my third number, so it's a 3 there. So it's 1.23. And remember, I just brought that decimal place straight up. All right, so that means I come here now and I go, this is going to be $1.23 for one battery. So that is $1.23 per battery. All right, so which is now the cheaper price? Is it $1.60 for a battery, or is it $1.23 for a battery? Well, obviously, $1.23 is less than $1.60. So my best buy is going to be this one because it's a smaller number. Let's keep on going. You might like to pause this video and pause this section and see if you can do it yourself, or otherwise you can just follow along with me. All right, so we need to determine the best buy. So we've got 5 kilos of potatoes for $105 or 24 kilos of potatoes for $552. These must be very good potatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I have 105 for 5 kilos and I have 552 for 24 kilos. So I'm just setting it up. Remember, the next thing that I would want to do here is I would want to figure out what is 1 kilo of potatoes going to be. So that means I'm going to have to divide this side by 5, and I'm going to have to divide this side by 5. We could do a bit of division here just to practice. We've got 5, 1, that. How many times does 5 go into 1? Well, it doesn't. So then you consider how many times does 5 go into 10? That goes in, that goes in twice. Then how many times does 5 go into 5? That goes in once. So it's going to be $21. So this is $21 for a kilo of potatoes. Then we come over here, and remember, we want to make this a kilo as well. So that means I'm going to have to divide this side by 5. I have to divide this side by, not 5, by 24. Divide this side by 24. All right, so now we have to do what is 552 divided by 24. So this one's a bit trickier, but we set up our division. We don't freak out. How many times does 24 go into 5? It doesn't. So how many times does 24 go into 55? Well, that goes in twice because, as you can think about it, I can get to 48, but then I'm not going to make it like 50, what is it? 55 is here. So that means I'm 7 removed. So now I've got to put a 7 there. How many times does 24 go into 72? That's going to go in perfectly 3 times. So it's going to be $23. So a really good making sure that you know your times tables here. It's all it really is, your times tables. All right, so that means I'm going to get 23 a kilo. And there we go. That's all you have to do there. So it's $23 a kilo for that one. It's $21 a kilo for this one. So guess what? 21 is a smaller number than 23. I know you're shocked. that this one is my best buy. Let's keep on going. This is a good one, a good question right here, and one in which we're going to go about things a little differently. So for this example right here, it says Isaac is at the shops to buy a block of chocolate for a snack. There are two options he is choosing between: fruit and nut for $2.20 for a 200 kilo block, or a salted caramel for $2.80 for a 250 kilo block. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, if you were to set this up, let's just set this up as we normally would. So it would go, it's $2.20 for 200 grams and $2.80 for 250 grams. Now you would be crazy. You'd be crazy to try to get that to $1.80. You'd be crazy to try to get it to 1 gram, just because it's trickier. You know, getting this to 1 gram would be quite tricky. So now we've got to ask ourselves, is there an easier way to approach this problem? And there is an easier way to approach it. Instead of going to 1 gram, which is a bit tricky, what we're instead going to do is go to 1 kilogram. So I'm going to come to this side. I'm going to make this 1 kilogram. Because remember, 1 kilogram, if we were to write it another way, is just 1,000 grams. And maybe it's easier to think about it as 1,000 grams. Now, the reason why it's easier to do this is because I can easily tell you that if I take 200 and times it by 5, I'm going to get to 1,000. And if I take 240 and times it by 4, I'm going to get to 1,000. And these are just a lot easier calculations. So sometimes you don't want to go down to 1 gram, but try to get to like 1 kilo or whatever you need to do that is just easier. So you're just comparing the same amount. So that's really important there. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to times, let's make this red. I'm going to times this by 4. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to times this by 5. Let's make this red as well. So I've set up everything here. All right, I need to figure out what is 220 times 5. 220 times 5. That's a funny looking 5. All right, 0 times 5 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. Put the 0 there, carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So this would be $11. Let's just leave it like that. So this is $11. And I'm going to write it per kilogram. Then we come over here and we do the same thing. I'm going to take 280 and times it by 4. So 280 times 4. 0 times 4 is 0. 8 times 4 is 32. So I put the 2 there. I carry my 3 across. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. It's going to be 1120. So now I can say that this is 1120 for 1 kilogram. So which is my best buy? Is it this one or is it this one? And clearly, after all of that, my best buy is going to be this one because it's $11. So it's cheaper. So 11 is cheaper than 1120. And there we go. That's how you approach these problems. Hopefully all that made sense. That's the end of the lesson. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It made sense to you, and yeah, just everything made sense there. Hopefully you filled out all those notes and you're feeling confident with this material. I'll see you in the next video.